Yeah. Let's get started. Why don't we? Yeah.
I think that sounds like a great idea.
All right. So thanks everyone for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time out. My name is Richard Nosek. I'm the manager of SEO and digital strategy here at ImageX. My team supports our clients with all those things that kind of fall under those umbrellas of digital marketing and search engine marketing.
And my name is Matt Pettifer, and I'm the director of design here at ImageX as well.
Excellent. Today, we're going to dive into a couple of topics that all businesses are wrestling with. The first topic is optimizing content in the age of AI.
And we're also going to be talking about humanizing digital content as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And marketers know that, being discovered, whether that's through organic search, through an engine like Google, or through Gen I engines like ChatGPT, this can have an impact on the bottom line. On an organizational's business goals.
Yeah, but there's a catch, isn't there, Richard? Always, right? So it's not just about being found in the digital space, it's also about being remembered. So as you'll see, as we get into our discussion today, with AI transforming how we create and optimize content, we're going to discuss how brands can ensure their message resonates on a human level.
Yep. And to tackle these two topics, Matt and I went back and forth, and we thought that it would be good to start at the beginning. So before people even become aware of your brand. So we know that people are using search engines, and even after they are aware of your brand, they continue to use search engines. I see this all the time, and when I look at clients' Google Search Console accounts, Matt, people will type in brand plus program, brand plus service or product. So I thought we could start with talking about the evolving landscape of search and how it's had an impact on how users engage with content and how publishers create content. So you're absolutely right. Getting discovered is step one. But if you can't connect with your users in the old days of digital marketing or search engine marketing, we call that a bounce. People would just hit the back button. So it's not enough to be discovered, but we'll start there because we know that everyone uses online search. Search is where people start. And since the beginning of online search, Google has been the worldwide leader. That graph on the left shows Google's share of online search since 2015. This is from Statista. So they're one of the more notable data companies, and they kind of specialize in gathering and visualizing this kind of data, like the online share of market. And Google still rules, but things are changing, and they are changing quite fast. Statista has also done another study and a research that showed in 2023, around 13 million Americans were using generative artificial intelligence as a primary online search tool. And from that research, their projection was that it was going to jump significantly. 2027, that's only a year and 3/4 away, Matt. It's going to go to 90 million online users.
Whew, that's a big number.
Yeah, it's a big jump from 23 to 27, just 4 years. And you know what? I'm already seeing this, and my team's already seeing this in the Google Analytics accounts of our clients. So traffic that comes from generative AI is coming into Google Analytics as referral traffic. And so we're already seeing this. And one of the things that I think is interesting to note is that organic search users in my entire over 2-decade career, organic search users have been more qualified. Like they stay longer on our website, they engage with more of our content, they do more of the things that we want them to do. And I'm seeing that referral traffic from generative engines is acting a lot like it's early days. I recognize that. It's only been a year or so. We've only been tracking some data for even in some cases only 6 to 7 months. But I think that this is going to become a really valuable source of traffic for websites.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting as well, we're actually hearing the topic of AI coming up in so many more of our meetings now with clients, whether it be in discoveries, in any kind of presentations that we might be making to them. And also sometimes, when we're sort of reaching out and speaking with people at a very early stage in the sales process, this is definitely a topic that people are wanting to discuss and get more into.
Yeah, yeah, and that comes up, like you said, like discovery. That question is always one that comes up. Um, okay, so when we're talking about being discovered, the landscape is certainly changing, and I think what we should do is talk a little bit about the role that search has played, because it's had a significant impact on the online landscape, search overall. When we're talking about search and we're talking about these early days, let's just be transparent. We're really talking about Google. Remember that slide that I showed before? Over the last, since 2015, they've maintained that position of like the high 90s, high 80s, low 90s. But I think understanding how search has evolved is key when we start thinking about how to humanize our digital content. Now, search engines have transformed how people access and consume information. They've also adapted to serve users and their search experience. And as SEOs or search engine marketers, understanding how algorithms have changed has helped us to create and craft content that ranks well. But now with this evolution in search and these broader shifts in user engagement with online content, it's not about ranking as much anymore. It's about the content. This has been around since the beginning of my career in the SEO world. Content is king, but ever so now, content needs to engage and it needs to satisfy users. So what I wanted to do was just do a little bit of a history of sort of AI and online search. Google has been using machine learning or AI for nearly 25 years now. It started in 2001. Google introduced machine learning into spell check in the search. And what I wanted to do was just take a couple moments to jump ahead and touch on some of the notable milestones that have shaped search and on how that's impacted content. Matt's going to share a link in the slides. And this is a link to Google's interactive AI journey. That's that screenshot. It was supposed to be a video, but it's not playing for us. So that's okay, though. We've got the link. And I think this is really worthwhile taking a look at because it's a presentation that really demonstrates how deep into AI Google has been. So I want to touch on some of the notable ones specifically related to search. In 2012, voice search takes off. And this is really an important moment because it starts to really organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and more useful. And this evolution in search, it goes from typing a keyword to now asking a question. So now we've been able to speak. And this has had an impact on SEOs because and content publishers because they have to think about how they can shape their content a little bit differently. And of course, it also starts to shape the user. Then in 2015, there's another significant algorithm update and AI advancement in RankBrain. Now, RankBrain is more related to search ads, but this one was important because Google is starting to make headway in understanding context, and that means like how words relate to each other and how they relate to concepts. So this is all starting to really like impact how we engage with search online and how we publish content for online. A couple more notable updates to their algorithm. BERT was in 2018. BERT basically was about understanding longer and more conversational queries. That's important so think about that for a second, because now people can start to search using prepositions. So they can use for and they can use to. And that matters a lot when you're trying to figure out meaning. So now people can search in a way that feels more natural for them, and the search engines can find that content and return it to them. So again, this really starts to shift how we approach our content creation when we sit down and think about crafting content for online. 2012, another update, MUM. That stands for multimodal model. And I've joked about this before, but I'm going to do it again. Just try and say that one 5 times real quick. Multimodal model. At its core, it was about fewer searches to get things done. So for example, you could come to Google and search, what should I do differently to prepare for fill in the blank? What should I do differently to prepare for my trip to Bali? So when people could ask Google search those kinds of questions, for SEOs and for content creators, it means that you're not optimizing for a keyword anymore. Your content needs to start really answering questions. And now we're going to flash forward to more recently, 2023 and later in 2023, we had Bard. Bard was sort of the AI release just before it was renamed to Gemini. This was really about a zero click. And what that was meaning, and for the online marketers, for the search engine marketers, that can actually have a trepidation. There can be a little bit of fear with that, right? Zero click. A person can go to Google, type in the query, and get their answer right there on the search results page. They don't even have to visit your website. And this reminded me a little bit of back in 2015 when Google started to move and adjust their algorithm to mobile first indexing. So you had to have a website that was mobile friendly. And there were a lot of these clickbait headlines out there and stuff that had that word in it, mobile geddon. But what Gemini and before it Bard really represents is it's just an opportunity for us to start focusing on our content and crafting stuff that's useful and it's unique and it's meaningful. I focused on Google and on the machine, but it really is about humans, isn't it, Matt? And that's been the arc of my career in online search. It started with the machine and it's come around to the human. And I think, Matt, this would be a great place for you to take over and talk a little bit about humanizing digital content.
Yeah, so great segue, Richard. Thank you. And man, it is wild just to see how fast everything has changed in the world of search. It really is an interesting time that we're in right now. And as you can tell where we're going with this discussion, as we humans, right, we are using the internet to search for content, and technology is changing and adapting to help facilitate that. The age-old story of man and machine is raising some interesting challenges. So, one of those is an interesting topic, which is the content that's now being produced and found with the aid of AI, is it content that us as human beings that we want to search for and we want to consume? So to help us get into that, I think starting to unpack some human behaviors in this area is going to be really good. And as all of us are probably aware, searching for information is more than just a transactional affair. Of course, we're actively looking for something, which is why we start to search. But connection is a huge part of this. And there are lots of studies that help back this up. And if you weren't aware of this already, but us as human beings, we crave authenticity and emotion. This is a huge part of this. We want to trust and believe that the information that we're searching for, and when we found it, that it's real and it resonates with us, and it's it's that thing that we were looking for. So this really shines a light on our intent when we search. And Richard, I know you and I talk a lot about that, and I know intent's an interesting topic in general.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm glad we have this chance to talk about this from the search engine marketer perspective. When we're thinking about even just starting with keyword research for clients, we think about the intent behind the keywords, and there's sort of a standard way to categorize it. But for SEOs, when we're doing that keyword research, we look at keywords and we think, are they informational? Are they navigational? Are they commercial? Or are they transactional?
Yeah, excellent. So this is why storytelling has been a big buzzword for a long time, a long time. So I'm just going to skip us ahead here in our deck. It's such a powerful thing, and we can see here that there's a science behind it. So scientists have discovered that there's chemicals within our brains, cortisol, dopamine, and oxytocin, that are released when we're told a story. So these help with us formulating memories. These help with us, having deeper emotional responses to content that we're consuming, and it also helps us from an empathy point of view as well, whether we're looking to sort of deepen or maintain any kind of relationship. And this goes even a step further here as well, where we found out that stories are 22 times memorable than facts alone. So if you roll a fact up into a story, we are way more likely to remember that. It's going to hit harder for us. And in addition to that, it helps with any kind of emotional connection to a brand. And we're seeing that over 56% of consumers who have that emotional connection, they're going to stay loyal to that brand. So this is really interesting when we see this play out in brands who have mastered storytelling. So think of, let's say, Apple with its product launches, for example. We could also, think of like Nike with their emotional campaigns that they do from their brand perspective. These companies and others, they thrive because their messaging feels personal. They've tapped into a human insight, and it's a story that it's a thing, it's an insight, a story that that resonates with us. So to keep driving that home a little harder, here we're looking at Phil Knight. So Phil Knight, for those of you who aren't aware of who he is the founder of Nike. And he gave a great interview here to Harvard Business Review. And I'm going to read this out. I know we've all been sort of, watching the slides and reading the slides as we go, but I think this is a good one to read out loud here. So, when he was interviewed, he commented on, why do people get married or do anything? And it's because of emotional ties that what builds long-term relationships with the consumer. And that's what our campaigns are about. So him, as well as other, marketers, they know the power that this has. And how as human beings, to come back to this again, this is the kind of content that we're looking for, something that's emotional and is going to strike an accord with us, which is great. So we wanted to get into some tips here. We wanted to share some tips around how can we humanize digital content. And I've got 2 recommendations for us today that I thought would be good to call out. So the first one, you might have heard us talk about this in previous presentations we've give. Maybe you've read some of our the insights that we put out there on our website. A key thing here is user research and user interviews and the user itself. So that's us. We're the people who are searching for and are looking for this content. So conducting user research and user interviews is very, very, very important. So how could we do that? 2 very simple and easy things to do. Conduct user interviews. And if you can't get hold of users to be able to interview them, putting together a survey or a poll that you could then share via email or by some other means. There are other tools that are out there for those of us who are very specialized in this area, something like Hotjar or something like that, to put a poll together. These are great ways to get, These are great ways to get that information. So let me just come back to our deck here again. So, this, I'm going to stay with Nike here for a second. Nike are showing this is a tactic that they've used. So for their last campaign that they did for the Olympics, which was winning isn't for everyone, they had conversations with hundreds of athletes, and that helped form the basis of this campaign. So whether you are in high school and you just love sports, whether you are in college, maybe you're on a team, maybe you're pushing hard to be from an amateur to a professional, seeing these insights come out in a campaign for the Olympics, it is going to hit you. It's going to resonate on a level where you understand exactly what's being sold to you because it's coming from the athletes themselves. Now, I'm not going to read through all of this, but we've got people in here. We've got Sophia Smith, we've got Sha'Carri Richardson, and we've got LeBron James, and they're all sharing insights of what competing meant for them. And that is why this campaign worked so well for Nike. Now, some of you here might be saying, well, it's easy to pick the big giants. It's easy to pick the big brands out there because they have the money and everything else behind them to be able to do that. Well, at ImageX here, we do practice what we preach. And I'm going to give a quick sort of demonstration of that as well. So I'm going to use Ashland here as an example. So this is a university where we take this approach, and we took this approach with them. So, we spoke to students, we spoke to faculty, we even spoke to the president. And from doing all of this sort of research, we found out that students at Ashland's, that they're remembered by name, and the students themselves, they felt seen. And this was such a deep insight that differentiated them from their competitors. And as soon as you get that kind of information, it helps you when you're, looking at whatever kind of work you're doing. And for us in the digital space, it helps us come up with ideas for their website that was going to help differentiate them from their client. So this essentially helped us come up with content ideas and concepts, which we presented to them. So we have 3 here. So one of them was called BU, which the whole idea behind that was that students going to Ashland could be themselves because they were seen and recognized for being themselves. That was one. The other one was we see, we hear you. So that one sort of speaks for itself, just given the insight I mentioned. And then the last one was, your story is our story. So just showing that, every student who comes to Ashland is recognized for who they are, and they make Ashland what it is. So, these were great concepts that were very well received by the university itself. And We See You was the concept itself that actually got picked, chosen, and moved forward with, and was really, really good for them. We got really good analytics out of this from a response rate from their students as well, which was very, very cool. So I'm going to speed things up a little bit because I think we're meant to be wrapping here at in 10 minutes. So my last recommendation that I'm going to give before I hand back to Richard is writing. So conversational writing. It's a very old school approach. Instead of sounding like a textbook, write as if you're talking to a friend. So this conversational approach is very, very important. And just to add another layer to it, now with obviously how AI and searching within AI, and this is what we're hearing from a lot of clients, how do I show up in AI search? Writing like a human, writing in a more conversational manner, that is what is helping AI search. So this is a really big one. This is a really big one here as well. So what else could we be doing? Richard, I want to come to you here to see what else you've got to add.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, we have some limited amount of time left for this session today, and we got lots of stuff we want to pack into it. So we'll move quite quickly. But I did want to say that I think it's interesting how stuff that's old school, like being human, writing conversationally, is what's working with AI right now. I think that's kind of interesting.
It is good. Yeah. Yeah. The old ones never die, eh?
That's right. Exactly. Okay. I wanted to add the slides back to the full screen. We're going to go. We'll do that for now. Okay. So it has to be human first. Matt, you nailed it. It has to be human first when we're talking about optimizing for search, for SEO or GEO. It has to be human first when we're using AI to create our content. And I really liked what you said. There was something else that you called out earlier. Human creativity should lead the way. So we need this human touch in AI-driven search. We need it because we need to maintain that human element in content. It's the only way that we're going to really connect with our audiences. And I think this is even more important as search becomes more automated. So what I'm going to talk about next are some key tactics for optimizing our content for geo. And I'm going to move through these as quickly as possible because I want to be mindful of our time. But first step is this. In any geo strategy, we need to ensure that we're implementing the basics, the SEO fundamentals. They need to be implemented. You need to identify the keywords. You need to identify the keywords that are relevant and related to your topic on that page and that users might be using to find that content. And then on-page SEO and technical SEO, we need to ensure that we implement these fundamentals. Technical SEO for sure, because AI crawlers need to effortlessly crawl your content, and then they need to be able to understand the connections between pages and sections. So SEO basics lay a foundation for a solid geo strategy. That's number one. The next two I'm going to talk about are a little bit more content related, content creation for SEO and GEO. I'm not going to go into these deep because Matt's already been talking about some of this and he's going to talk a little bit more about it. But from my point of view, as a digital marketer or a search engine marketer, here are a couple of tactics that I think you should keep in mind. Your content needs to be answer focused and conversational. Generative engines, and Matt's already brought this up, but especially like Google's AI overview, they thrive on concise, factual answers. And generative AI is engaging with users. If any, I'm sure all of us in this call have used it or experimented in some fashion, but it's a back and forth conversational style. And so we need to provide content that is going to be layered with detail and in that conversational voice, if that makes sense. And number three, my third tactic. So just like we have local SEO, and for those on the call today that are SEOs, you'll know what I'm talking about, but we need to bring local relevance into our geo strategies. So we need to have regionalized, localized information that's going to help those generative engines surface the right content to the right audience. And this can actually be quite natural for organizations that have clearly defined geographic markets. So it could be like a community college, or it could be like with the YMCAs where they have multiple branches or locations in a sort of geographic region. Okay. Number four. Okay, so number four, I want to take just a moment on this one because I think this is probably the key tactic. Actually, I could have put it as the number one and said if the only thing you did today was this, but this is structured data, also known as schema markup, and it's a key tactic for SEOs. It's beneficial for geo, and it's also very beneficial for SEO. Google uses structured data to help place your content, to understand what the context of your content, the details, and then place it into its like rich results or featured snippets or its AI overview. So for some that might be on the call and aren't sure what is structured data, it is a standardized format for providing information about a web page and classifying its content. So it happens in the back end. It's not something that users or humans see, but structured data helps to convey specific details about your content. And it can be implemented in a variety of ways. Drupal has a very stable module called schema.org meta tag module. You can also create or write your own JSON scripts and implement them with Google Tag Manager. So getting to use it is pretty low barrier, but it's a key tactic, and SEO should be using it. Structured data is a powerful tool. It gives generative engines very specific details about programs, services, products, people, events, great content like FAQs, and I could go on and on. I'm a big advocate of this tactic. I just got a couple more to round out. I want to make sure that we've got a time to wrap up in succinctly. But I think this is a fundamental that all marketers would probably be aware of, and that is we need to track our AI traffic. And I'm going to get Matt to share a link in the deck, but I'm already seeing traffic, more referral traffic from AI tools, and I've configured an AI tools report so that I can look at this traffic specifically and see how it's reacting and interacting with my website. The link that Matt shared is a really, this was a video that was shared to me by one of my teammates, Greta, and it succinctly shows you how to set up AI tools report in GA in like a minute. And you should do that. You should do that, and you should do structured data. Those are the two key takeaways, okay? Anyways, we need to monitor and analyze our traffic specifically. And then I think, looking at the time, Matt, and considering what we want to get to, the last one I want to talk about is just this idea of the Google quality rater guidelines. Google uses humans to rate and determine page quality. And when they do this, they look at that, and this may be an acronym that others have heard, but it's the EAT acronym, EEAT. So that's first-hand user experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. And I'm going to wrap this up real quick. We'll see how far we can get with this, Matt, because I think it ties in nicely with what you're going to talk about next. So if the AI is the creator, what does that mean then in the eyes of Google's EAT acronym? So first of all, no, Google won't penalize AI content. They've actually said, quote, appropriate use of AI or automation is not against our guidelines. So I think this is great that we can use AI to help us, but what does that leave us with when it comes to the future of content in the AI age, Matt?
That's a great point, Richard. So we are at time, or we're coming up in 20 seconds. So just everybody, we're going to go a couple of minutes over here. This is mine and Richard's first time using the way we're doing everything. Yeah, so we're hoping it doesn't kick us out. So if everyone's okay sticking around for a couple of extra minutes, that'd be great. We're very near the end here. We've gone past 30 and we're still live. All right, this is a good thing. We're okay. So, okay, this is good. So I'm going to just take us through. I'll be quick here, but take us through our last section. So to very quickly recap, because it's going to set me up here. You know, when we started this talk today, we went back in time for the history regarding search. We got into the science of storytelling. We got into some tips around humanizing content and ways to go about it. And then Richard's just taken us through some awesome tactics for SEO and GEO. So where does that bring us to? That brings us to the future of content, or what the future of content could be like. So I've got a couple of examples here of things that we at ImageX are very excited about. So one of them is hyper personalization. So hyper-personalization is already happening. It's been happening for a while, but it's ratcheting up with now AI, which is making it even more exciting for everybody. The example I've got on screen here is with Spotify's AI DJ. So of course, this is going to be curating, you know, based on listening habits and preferences, but now it's doing things like and time of day, which is interesting. And what we could potentially see in the future as well is it could be around mood. It could also potentially be around environment as well. So this is just going to get stronger and stronger, which I think is very exciting for everybody who is in the digital space and wants that personalized, that very granular personalized experience. So I think that's going to be one that we're going to see a lot of movement on. And then the other is the future of conversational content. So again, this is an old share, so to speak, you know, given how quickly everything's moving, but with, you know, ChatGPT voice mode. What I love about this is that we're now searching using voice, and that couldn't get more human than that, basically. And then how those search results are being served back to us, that's ChatGPT talking back to us, and then serving up its search results as well. So that one I think is really cool, and I think how we communicate with technology in this manner, again, very human, and we're going to see a lot happen there. And then the last one to touch on is AI assistance. So I don't have a screen share for this, but with AI assistance, you know, this is where we're using AI to go do our work for us, to go looking for what we want, you know, based on what we're asking it to do, and then it's serving it back in a way that feels very human, in a way that's personalized for us. So we're, you know, requesting how we want this to be shared back. There's a lot of investment being put into tools and how that interface looks potentially, so that it feels really agreeable with what our preferences are. And AI assistance is a big deal as well. So that brings us now to the end of our presentation, and we wanted to end really quickly with some sort of wrap-up thoughts. So we wanted to keep it at 5. I think it was around 5, Richard, right?
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, perfect. So we wanted to share that with everyone as sort of some takeaways, and I think Richard, you're gonna kick us off first here.
Yeah, number 1, please keep implementing your SEO fundamentals. It's solid building blocks for any kind of geo strategy that you're going to undertake this year. And second, start implementing structured data. It's a key tactic, and it speaks specifically to the AI crawlers. So there's 2. Matt, you're 3.
Ooh, excellent. Yeah, I've got 3 to add here. So as already called out, write with a conversational style. It's human. It aligns with AI search behaviors right now. And that's a biggie. It's an easy one to do. The other one, which I called out, was include real human beings. Yes, hello, that's us. Include users in the process when creating content. They are the ones, we are the ones who are searching for it and consuming it. So again, it's a very obvious one, but that's super important. And then the last one to help us wrap here is, in our opinion, between me, Richard, and us here at ImageX, the future belongs to those who can blend technology with human authenticity. And brands who embrace that, embrace the balance there, will thrive. Agreed.
Thank you all very much, and thank you for sticking around for that extra 4.5 minutes.
Yes, thank you very much. Oh, and this will be shared in LinkedIn as well for those of you who have missed it or want to share it with other people. I think we're going to have a recording of this that will be put out shortly after this as well.
Yeah, good call, Matt.
Okay.
Take care. Have a great day, everyone.